Okay, hey everyone. I know a lot of you are catching this recording, but I have Maureen on here live with me. So, yay for a buddy. But this is our first nutrition Zoom. And the goal with these weekly nutrition Zooms is just to bring you guys some nutrition education, some conversation, and also be able to answer questions for you as you go. So, with our Purple Drink, our Slim and Trim system, the supplements are obviously a huge part. But when you have your nutrition in line and you're working on moving your body and you're working on decreasing inflammation, it all really works together to help you get the best results possible. So, what we're going to be going over on this first Zoom is I'm just going to talk a little bit about how to build your plate, and we'll focus on protein and what that looks like, and talk a bit about grocery shopping and what you can look for on the labels as you're getting your groceries. So the main thing with these Zooms is we're not trying to completely overhaul your diet overnight, or do something that's so difficult that you can't stick with it, right? That's why there's not a really strict meal plan that's like you have to follow this to a T, because what usually happens is not doable or you can't stick with it, and then people get discouraged. So what we're doing is just giving you kind of the big concepts, the big tips, and then you can figure out what works for you, and build your plate in a way that's going to support your wellness goals. And just a little background on me: I've got about 20 years experience in working in health promotion and wellness management. That's what my degree's in. I worked in a medical fitness facility, at a hospital for about 10 years, and I've worked with a lot of women on nutrition and weight loss and all the things. And when you are thinking about losing weight, which I know a lot of people in this group have that as a big wellness goal, you want to look at your nutrition and think about whether you are overeating or under eating. And they are actually both problematic when it comes to weight loss. And just working with so many women, I've actually found that many women are under eating, and it's why they have a hard time losing weight. So, what happens when you're overeating is obviously your calories are just too much coming in, you're not burning enough. And so the scale is tipped that there's just too much, so your body stores the extra as fat, right? That's what happens with overeating. The benefit of being an overeater is your metabolism is very high because you're putting a lot of nutrients in, and so that fire is kind of always burning. What I see more often though with women is under eating, and it's that we're busy, we're taking care of everybody else, and so we just kind of pick food here and there, but we're not very intentional sometimes, and we end up actually not getting enough calories. What happens is that your metabolism can slow down and your body kind of goes into starvation mode, where everything that you do eat, your body wants to hold on to and store as fat because you're not getting proper nourishment. So it's very, very common. It takes a little time to fix. So if you're listening to this and you're like, yes, that's me, I'm definitely not getting enough nourishment, just know it takes about 6 to 8 weeks of eating properly for your metabolism to kind of kick in and your body to be like, oh, okay, we can start letting go of the fat weight. So it's a bit of a process, but it is definitely fixable. And it's something that I've helped a lot of women through. So again, this isn't about like super, carefully weighing your food or anything like that. But if you find it helpful to track your nutrition, that can be a great tool. So I personally like using MyFitnessPal. There's lots of apps out there. There's one called Lose It. There's one called Fat Secret. There's a lot of free apps you can use that are helpful and beneficial, or even a good old pencil and paper and just keeping track of what you're eating in a day. It can really just raise awareness for yourself that, like, oh my goodness, I thought I was getting enough and I'm looking at what I ate and it was not enough for today. Or, oh my goodness, now that I'm writing this down, I'm realizing I am picking a lot and I need to cool it, right? There are it just brings awareness. So that can be helpful. Okay, so we're going to lightly touch on macronutrients when we talk about building your plate. And so your macronutrients, macro means big. So your big nutrients are your proteins, your fats, and your carbohydrates. They make up your calories. It's where you're getting your energy from. Your micronutrients are your vitamins and your minerals. So that is also super important. In your supplements, you are getting so many micronutrients that are helping to balance your blood sugar, and help you with inflammation. So your micronutrients are awesome with your supplements, but your macronutrients are what you want to think about as you're building your plate. So when you are building your plate, you want to think about protein first. Okay, so you want to aim to include protein at every meal. Examples of protein would be meats, eggs, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese. It's such a a hack to add cottage cheese into things to really up the protein. Chicken, turkey, tuna, salmon, tofu, if you're vegetarian, beans and lentils. These are your protein foods. And every single meal you want to build around protein. Okay. So when you look at that plate, your breakfast, lunch, and dinner, where's your protein? It should be a big portion of your plate. You want to build around that. If you can do lean protein, that's even better. So some of my favorites are turkey, egg whites, Greek yogurt. I will do ground beef and other fattier meats, but just like a little bit less than the lean meats. And when you're building your plate and you have that protein, you want to eat the protein first at your meal if possible. And it is a surprising fact that your blood sugar spike will actually be reduced by like 20 to 30% just by eating your protein first. So if I have my breakfast and I've got eggs and avocado and maybe like a little piece of sourdough toast, I should eat my eggs first. And if I can get some cottage cheese in there to up the protein, that's even better. And when you're having your dinner, if you've got a chicken breast and a salad and a sweet potato, eat the chicken first. As silly as that sounds, it will actually help your body to not have as big of a blood sugar response. Okay. So we're aiming with protein at every meal. And the reason why is it supports fullness. It really helps your energy. When we think energy, we think sugar and carbs, right? Like, I just need something quick. Yes, that will boost your blood sugar and kind of feel you jazzed up, but you will also crash quickly. Protein keeps your energy steady throughout the day. And when you're getting enough protein, it will help to reduce snacking. Okay. So we don't need to count grams of protein right now. Just start noticing, did I include protein in my meal? So look at your plate. Do I have protein on this plate? If not, make an adjustment. Make sure you're getting some protein in there with every meal. Okay. The next thing you want to think about with building your plate is fiber, or just think color. Like, I need to have some colorful veggies on this plate, fruits and veggies. So examples would be berries. They are great for fighting inflammation. Greens, cucumbers, peppers, broccoli, apples, carrots. In fact, with our Slim and Trim protocol, we recommend having one apple a day, and it can be at the end of any meal. But what the apple does is it does help with feeling full, and it gives you that little sweet something so that you're not craving sugar later. And apples are a great binder, which means that toxins will stick to some of the fiber in the apple. And so that helps you with detoxing, because that Restore drink, that purple drink, does detox your liver, which is really important and really helpful. But we want to make sure we are flushing toxins out. We don't want them just circulating in our bodies. So Restore is breaking down the toxin. You want to be drinking water, staying hydrated, making sure you got electrolytes going. Have that apple. It'll help flush the toxins out. But you want that fiber and color on your plate. The reason why is to aid in your digestion, to get the micronutrients in, and to, again, help with fullness. Because when you've got fiber, it's going to help you feel full and support blood sugar balance. All right. So you got your protein, you got some kind of color there, and then healthy fats are also really important. So some healthy fats that I love are avocados. I am obsessed with avocados. They actually have way more potassium than a banana as well. So if you're paying attention to electrolytes and making sure your potassium is up there, avocados are great for it. Nuts are a healthy fat. I love having a handful of pumpkin seeds, like sprouted pumpkin seeds. They're great for your hormones. They're a great source of protein. They're super yummy. I'll throw them on a salad sometimes, and they're a healthy fat. Olive oil, cheese in moderation. A serving size of cheese is like your thumb. Okay, so I know this is one where I tend to go overboard because I really enjoy cheese. I will eat like way too much. So just know that the thumb size is the portion. And then nut butters can be a healthy fat too. So a good quality peanut butter, almond butter. So hold on, let me look at the chat. I saw a question pop in. Where do I buy sprouted pumpkin seeds? I get them at BJ's. So they have like a big bag of sprouted pumpkin seeds, and it's like $10. It literally lasts forever. Yep, so that's where I get them. I think you can also get them online. I've seen them on Amazon. So just check the label, and we're going to get into talking about labels too. Okay, so we've got our protein, we've got our color, we've got our healthy fats. You might be like, where are the carbs? It is okay to have some carbs, but they should not be a super significant part of your plate. Okay. So if you're going to have carbohydrate, first of all, you're getting carbohydrate in your vegetables. Okay. So there's no like zero carb diet. If you're having fruits and vegetables, you are having some carbohydrate. Examples of healthy carbohydrates would be low glycemic carbs. That means they're not jacking your blood sugar. Sweet potatoes are great. Brown rice, quinoa, farro, buckwheat. I will make homemade sourdough. So those are some good options. Try to stay away from the gluten carbs. So for me personally, just to bring down the inflammation in my body, when I dropped gluten, it took away a lot of those bad foods that I didn't want to eat, like white bread, cake and cookies, like all of those easy to grab, high sugar things. So I do recommend eliminating or really reducing the gluten foods that you eat. Or at the very least, making sure that you're cooking them yourself. So like I make sourdough, I use flour, but because it's fermenting, the gluten content is way, way less. And I know the ingredients that are going in. Okay. So just to give you guys a couple easy examples, and there is a meal plan recommendation on our Facebook group. Lindsay put that up, just kind of like a build your plate. Here's some things to look for. So you guys can check that out. But example for breakfast could be like eggs and fruit and a small piece of avocado toast, right? A really nutrient dense breakfast. Like it doesn't have to be, just a handful of berries and you're on your way. No, like you can actually really eat. I love doing a cup of Greek yogurt with a scoop of lean protein. We do have Plexus lean protein. That's amazing. And then I'll put a little bit of granola or chia seeds or fresh fruit. That's delicious. You can blend in cottage cheese with your eggs to up the protein content. Or I'll just do a straight protein smoothie. So I'll do like almond or coconut milk, 2 scoops of lean, a frozen banana, PB Fit powder if you want to get some more protein in. That's been a favorite of mine. So those are some breakfast ideas. Lunch, I love doing leftovers for lunch. So I will make, when I cook the protein, like let's say I'm grilling chicken, I will do double or triple what we need so that I can throw that on a salad throughout the week or make a wrap or something like that. We are a family of 6. I have 4 kids. I eat a ton. So I feel like I'm just cooking in bulk all the time. But when you're cooking, just double your protein and use that for lunch. That is such an easy way. Tuna salad, chicken salad. I just love to do a ton of veggies and a protein for my lunch. Dinner, it's helpful to think in terms of your protein, a vegetable, and then a low glycemic carbohydrate. The worst way to eat is kind of like casserole style where everything's blended together with a lot of sauce, with a lot of cheese melted on top. Those things can be really bad for you. So like salmon and roasted veggies and a sweet potato, or some quinoa pasta and turkey and whatever, like, you know what I mean? Just think in terms of your plate and making sure there's that protein, the veggie, and then if you're going to do a carbohydrate, that it is low glycemic. And healthy fats can be something like a drizzle of olive oil, super easy to add in. And then with this Slim and Trim program, we really want to avoid snacking throughout the day and especially at night. Do not do an evening snack. I know that can be hard, especially if you're used to it. But having your Slim Hunger Control and your Restore should really help the food noise and the cravings go down. And you want to avoid snacking. It's not only so that your calories are lower, but it's also because your GLP-1 needs to kind of reset, like your hunger hormones, which are called leptin and ghrelin. I could go on and on about those, but when you actually stop eating in between meals, it's good for your body. Like it's good to actually enter that like little bit hungry state and then have your liver kick out some glycogen to bring your blood sugar back up and then you stabilize. That is a good process. So don't feel alarmed if you're a little bit hungry between meals. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to eat. It's just sometimes that those hunger hormones are a little dysregulated. And with time and with taking your products consistently, they will regulate. Okay. So just a little tip. Avoid snacking, but have 3 very good meals focused on protein. You do want like 500 or 600 calories per meal. Like it should be a good meal so that you're fueling your body. Remember that food is fuel. We're not restricting, we're not punishing ourselves. We're just trying to fuel our bodies appropriately so that we can do all the things that we need to do. Okay, last couple of minutes, I want to talk about grocery shopping and some things to look for. If you feel like you need a grocery list to just make life easier, if you're like, just tell me what to eat, I do have a 4-week summer meal plan that has a grocery list. So it's very specific. If you're like, oh, no, that's too much, totally fine. You can build your own plate. But if you want the grocery list, I can send it to you. So just let me know. But when you're shopping for your groceries, I find it very helpful to sit down sometime over the weekend for me, like on Sunday afternoon, and to write down our dinners for the week. So I will plan out the meals. I cook pretty simply, like nothing fancy, but I just want to know what's coming. So I plan out the meals. I jot down some breakfast and lunch ideas as well. And then the way our family works is I make the grocery list, and then either my husband gets the groceries or I just started doing grocery pickup where I'm literally like doing it all on the app and then I go pick up the groceries. And what that does is it helps me from impulse buying junk food or just more than we need. I'm always trying to keep our grocery budget to a reasonable amount, which I know is really hard these days. But I think if you are intentional and you have a list and you stick to it, or you do grocery pickup so you're not browsing through the aisles, that can really, really help. Also, try to plan like a leftover night so that you can cook in bulk a little bit and, have one less meal that you have to cook. And honestly, for my family, we almost never eat out. And that saves us a ton of money. And it also saves you from making really bad choices in a restaurant. So we'll eat out on special occasions or, in celebration of something. But if possible, try not to order food unless it's a special occasion you're celebrating, or just eat out because it's easier. When you are prepared, cooking in the home can be really simple, really quick. Guys, it's beautiful out. Open that grill, get some chicken on there, right? Like it can be, not hard at all. If you have super, super busy days, then try to batch cook over the weekend. Like you can go online and find all kinds of ideas, things you can put in mason jars to grab and go for lunch. Like there is a way to do it. You just have to have that preparation time. Okay. So grocery staples for your protein, definitely eggs, definitely your chicken, your turkey, your tuna, your cottage cheese, whatever it is, make sure you're getting plenty of protein for the week. For produce, try to go with fresh produce whenever possible. Frozen is okay too. So I do a lot of like the big salad kits. We do a ton of apples and bananas, berries, cucumbers, baby carrots, things that are great for munching on. Celery. You can get a thing of hummus so that if you, just need something quick to add with a meal for a veggie, I'll just chop up carrots and cucumbers, right? So, so easy, kid friendly. And then carbohydrates, get those low glycemic carbs. So get a bag of quinoa, get a bag of brown rice. At Aldi, I get chickpea pasta, and that's delicious, something to keep in the pantry. Healthy fats, avocado, nuts, olive oil. You can use avocado oil. And then, yeah, just make sure that you are shopping the perimeter of the grocery store. Spend less time in the middle aisles because that's where all the packaged food is. And you really do want to check labels. Now, I know it can be overwhelming if you're new to it, but here's just a few pointers for reading labels. The first thing I look for is chemicals in the food, okay? Because I want to not have toxins in my body, right? We're drinking Restore every day to flush these toxins out. We really want to avoid putting toxins in. There's going to be toxins all the time with even our air, products we use, the environment. Like we're exposed to so many toxins, but one of the things we can control is what's going into our mouth. So flip that container of whatever over and look for chemicals. So chemicals would be artificial sweeteners. Guys, if it has aspartame, if it has sucralose, if it has I can't even say asulfame potassium, I think is how you say it. These are artificial sweeteners. They are straight chemical. They destroy your gut. Okay. So no artificial sweeteners. I'd rather you have sugar, straight sugar, than artificial sweeteners. So diet products, diet sodas, sometimes these like healthy, like they're labeled to look healthy. They can be the worst because they, instead of using sugar, they will use chemicals. So no chemicals. Look for carrageenan. That is in a lot of, your like cottage cheese and yogurts and stuff like that. Carrageenan causes cancer. Okay. So you don't want that. Yes, things that are labeled zero sugar are often full of chemicals. So you really want to be careful. Good sweeteners would be stevia. Stevia is plant-based, so that is not an artificial sweetener. Monk fruit, organic cane sugar, honey, maple syrup. And of course, like some of those will raise your blood sugar, but at least they're natural, right? They're not chemical. So look for chemicals. And I tell people, don't count calories, count chemicals. Okay. I'd rather get the chemicals out first than focus in on the calories. When you're looking at labels, also look at the total protein, right? When you're looking for protein, it's like, will this keep me full? If it has a good amount of protein, yes, it will. So when I look at those organic sprouted pumpkin seeds, there's two ingredients. There's organic sprouted pumpkin seeds and salt. And there's 8 grams of protein in a quarter cup. So like the littlest serving, I just toss that back. It's got 8 grams of protein. I know that's going to keep me full and it's clean. There's not this huge list of ingredients, right? Short ingredient labels tend to be better foods, right? Not so many additives. You can also look for fiber and then look at the sugar content on a label. Just be aware, you don't need to be obsessed. There are some really great foods that do have a little bit of sugar. It's okay. But just check, right? Because sometimes something that's labeled as a health product, I think of like Gatorade and like some of these drinks and things, they will have as much sugar as a can of soda. So it's like, wow, okay, that is good to know. So just check for the sugar. And again, that ingredient list, short and recognizable is nice. If you can understand what the ingredients are, they're real foods, they're not a whole bunch of chemicals, that is a really good thing. So this week's action steps, I wanted to keep these short and then have a few minutes for questions, is to look at your plate every meal and make sure it's balanced. And what I want you to do first is really focus on protein. Okay. Maybe you're not having any protein at breakfast currently. That's very common, right? In our culture, it's like bagel, croissant, scone, like, and a cup of coffee. Ah, no, you need protein. So I want you to this week look at your plate each meal, make sure you have protein in every meal. That's your only assignment. Super easy. And avoid the snacks in between, right? Just build a really good meal 3 times a day. And when you make your next grocery list, I want you to actually make a list instead of just going through the store and prioritize your meals, right? So you have your protein, you have your fiber, your veggies, you have your low glycemic carbs, and then you can really stick with that and have a much more well-prepared week. And that preparation will prevent you from making impulsive bad choices later. And honestly, guys, it will save you money. If you're not grabbing junk out, if you're not going through the drive-through or having to eat out because there's no food in the house, it will save you a ton of money and you'll be able to build better meals. Okay. So let me stop the recording there and then I'll open it for questions. But thank you guys for listening. We're going to do this again next week. I'm going to try to stick to the same time and day. But I really appreciate you guys being on live.